Thanks, Ronan. I'll obey your instructions and avoid acknowledgements, but I will acknowledge the wonderful work that the Western Sydney Dialogue is doing. It's fantastic to see, and incredibly important work, which we're going to be talking about today. And it's a real pleasure for me to be here, representing the Prime Minister as his Assistant Minister, but also as someone who represents parts of southwestern Sydney in my own electorate. There is nothing like being on the ground as a local representative of this region to see what some of the challenges are, what the opportunities are, and what an exciting time it is we are entering for Western, Northwestern and Southwestern Sydney. So, as I say, it's a real pleasure to be here. It's also a pleasure to be amongst a group which is committed to delivering for Western Sydney, and I think that's one of the great benefits of a forum like this, is that there is a group of like-minded people getting together. We don't all agree on all of the answers, but we are absolutely in an agreement on, I think, on the opportunities and some of the challenges we've got to meet if we're going to realise the full potential of this wonderful region. Now, I don't need to tell any of you that Western Sydney is entering a period of transformational change. It's Australia's fourth largest city and third largest economy that we have, and again, I don't need to tell any of you that it's growing fast. We have about 2 million people in what I like to think of as Western Sydney, and that will increase by another million in the next 20 years. And if we extend the boundaries a little more, of course, the numbers go up yet again. Now, that tremendous growth presents challenges, and it's been presenting those challenges for some time. We shouldn't pretend for a moment that these things are new, but I do think that they are becoming much clearer, and they're problems which many of us deal with every day. At its core, I believe the most fundamental problem is a disconnect between jobs and housing. Put simply, people can't afford to live near where they work, and that's a problem. It's a very big problem, and it's why the Prime Minister has been so focused on this idea of 30-minute cities. It's not saying we should be able to travel from one side of Sydney to the other in 30 minutes, but it is saying that our day's circle, the time between where we live and where we work and the services we draw on, we should be targeting as an aspiration 30 minutes. Now, Deloitte has identified that a third of Western Sydney workers, that's more than 300,000 people, travel outside Western Sydney for work each day, and that's a very big number. If we look at Sydney's CBD, we can see that there's over 800,000 jobs for a population of 900,000. So this is, a very stark contrast between what we're seeing out in the west and what we're seeing on the eastern side of Sydney. There is no doubt in my mind that this is a wicked problem. It's a wicked problem, and it will only be solved with collaboration between all levels of government and, dare I say, very significant involvement from the private sector and people in this room. The exciting thing I find about working in cities policy, and the daunting thing, is that there is no one level of government that has all the answers or can pull all the levers to solve the problem. There is no one organisation that we can all look to and say, yep, they're going to do it, and we just sit back and hold on for the ride. It requires collaboration, and the key, in my view, to solving this wicked problem is getting those collaborations absolutely right. Now, the Western Sydney Airport will be a game changer for the region. I think it will be a transformational economic catalyst. The Turnbull government's commitment to the airport, I think, and we all think, represents a once-in-a-generation opportunity for new jobs and long-term growth, and it'll support the emerging western city of Sydney as a thriving CBD, and it must do that if we're to solve this fundamental problem that I've described. There is no doubt that airports are proven job generators, Again and again, we see around the world that airports are magnets for economic activity, for jobs, and for investment. Indeed, we've seen that in cities like Denver, that if you move an airport, you move the city. The city chases the airport, and the shift of the airport location in Denver was a wonderful experiment, if you like, of how that actually happens in practice, and we see lots of examples of that around the world. We think that Western Sydney Airport will generate nearly 9,000 direct jobs by the early 2030s and 60,000 jobs in the long term, but importantly, in addition, many thousands of jobs can be created at the businesses which will be attracted and located near the airport. If we fail to progress Western Sydney Airport, the missed economic opportunity will be substantial, and we have economic modelling suggesting that some $34 billion in direct foregone GDP by 2060 will be the result of failing to proceed with the airport. That's just the direct impact, let alone the much, in some ways, more important indirect impact of this location of jobs much closer to where large parts of the Sydney population are living. Now, we are seeing, as the federal government, that key industries are already interested in locating around the airport. A range of businesses and institutions are making plans to open, to expand or to relocate into the area. These include universities, aviation, defence and logistics industries. And this will be an important theme in the coming months and years, how we pull this off, how we do it well, how we make it right, how we make it attractive, and how we ensure that the jobs come with those businesses and organisations. The Turnbull government, working with the New South Wales and local governments, wants to do more than simply build an airport. We want to take advantage of the city-shaping capability of this major infrastructure. So working with business, the community and all levels of government, we are absolutely determined to deliver for Western Sydney. Now, in the face of immense growth, there's no doubt that our cities need major infrastructure investment, and nowhere is that more important than Western Sydney. We're already investing just under $3 billion in a roads package alongside $700 million or so from the state government, and where we've said that we want to see rail to the airport from its first day of operation. But this investment has to be smart. It's got to be underpinned by the right long-term planning and targeted to manage the growing pains of congestion, affordability and pollution, as well as, of course, amenity. Fundamentally, smart investment is informed investment. No longer will the Australian government be an automatic teller machine for the latest political vanity project of state politicians. And this is an important change in our approach. Scott Morrison's been talking about it in recent days. Going forward, we will operate as an investment partner, not an automatic teller machine. As a partner in major projects, we'll focus on negotiating better returns for the public. We need to ensure that every dollar spent on infrastructure is an investment in growing the economy, building livable cities and regions, and cutting congestion. Greater investment in high-quality infrastructure is absolutely vital to the country and the region's productivity and economic growth. And as we set out in our Smart Cities plan almost a year ago now, a new financing group within the Prime Minister's portfolio, right at the centre of government, will provide a commercial discipline in this infrastructure, as well as a public policy discipline alongside Infrastructure Australia, of course, in our infrastructure decision-making. This reform will support the Commonwealth to get involved in infrastructure planning up front, not at the end of the day, right up front, to shape the projects in a way that will deliver returns. It's not enough just to have a line on a page and a few dollars. This is shaping the projects for outcomes. And those outcomes will be economic, environmental, social and financial. A very big shift in the way the federal government works on cities and infrastructure. Our approach to Western Sydney Rail will be in keeping with this. It can't just be unfunded or underfunded lines on a page. It needs to be properly planned and integrated with a pathway to delivering on the development of a city, not just a rail line. Now, too many politicians have promised Western Sydney much and delivered little. And as someone who represents parts of the southwest of this region, I see daily, the scars of past failures, and I won't allow this to happen on my watch. As I mentioned, smart investment's a key pillar in our Smart Cities plan, which we announced about a year ago. The Smart Cities plan sets out our vision for Australia's metropolitan and regional cities, and we see our regional cities as important, just as our metropolitan suburban areas are extremely important. It includes a focus on smart policy, smart investment and smart technology, and we introduced in that Smart Cities agenda the new City Deal policy. We've already delivered our first 2 city deals, Townsville and Launceston. We deliberately chose regional cities, smaller, more self-contained regional cities to get moving and to prove up this tool, which we see as enormously powerful in driving collaboration to get outcomes in our cities. And our focus is now turning to securing a city deal for Western Sydney. The Western Sydney City Deal will be our most ambitious to date. It'll be focused on growing districts of Western, Northwestern and Southwestern Sydney, 8 local government areas. Fundamental to the City Deal's success is all 3 levels of government, bringing ideas and reforms to the table. We're aligning our objectives to make the most of the growth, focusing on local job opportunities, connectivity and livability. The deal will include, as I say, a focus on jobs and skills, but also infrastructure investment, housing outcomes, amenity, environmental outcomes. It is the whole package. And what is so central to a city deal is not just the collaboration between all levels of government, but the collaboration across each level of government. Every part of government involved to deliver the best possible outcome for the citizens of that region. Already, we're seeing city deals proving their value in building genuine partnerships across government, and with us all at the one table, the Western Sydney City Deal is working to ensure all communities of the region share in the benefits of the growth catalysed by Western Sydney Airport. And this is fundamental. We want to make sure that the benefits of the growth that we think are achievable will be shared right across the region. It's driving a coordinated approach to infrastructure investment, ensuring plans for housing, employment, education and recreation are informed and coordinated alongside each other. I firmly believe by working together we can make better decisions, longer-term plans which will stand the test of time. The government's also committed through the Smart Cities plan to measuring the success of city deals, and to this end we're developing the first ever Australian National Cities Performance Indicator framework. The framework will be online and interactive and will provide a snapshot of the productivity, livability and progress of Australia's largest cities. It'll go beyond the simple presentation of statistics. It'll help users understand a city's narrative, dynamics and emerging trends, the fingerprint, if you like, of each of our cities. It'll increase transparency and accountability in decision-making by linking measurable outcomes with policy evaluation and allowing us to choose which measures we really want to focus on in each city deal we pursue. The framework will help target smart cities policy and allow the public to better understand issues and trends facing our cities. So I've always believed that if you can't, that you can't improve what you don't measure. Very hard to do that. And so our commitment to the performance framework is a commitment not just to measurement, but to continual improvement. Now, by taking advantage of the unprecedented pace of technological process, governments, industry and the community can make cities more prosperous and sustainable. And we believe that technology has a really key role to play in the future of our cities and that the federal government should be playing some role in this. As I mentioned earlier, Western Sydney faces a key issue of high quality, affordable housing, well connected to infrastructure, transport, community public spaces, world-class amenities and jobs, of course. Smart technology and precise location data enable us to undertaking our planning in a much more holistic way, to get that planning right, balancing the competing needs of city residents. Drawing on available data, we can now predict traffic congestion, shopping needs, including where and when consumers prefer to shop. I was talking with several people here today about the extraordinary advances we're seeing in the way we can use data to see these things. And those insights can be incorporated into every step of design, development and implementation of smart cities. So to that end, last month I launched the $50 million Smart Cities and Suburbs program. The program will support projects that apply innovative and technology-based solutions to urban challenges. Through those projects, we're aiming to drive the sorts of improvements that I've been talking about. The guidelines are the culmination of a very extensive consultation period of about 6 months where we spoke with many stakeholders and came to the view that if we play this the right way, we can have a very high impact by focusing on projects that are innovative and that can be rolled out across Australia. What we're looking for is experiments in many different cities that in time can be proven up and rolled out across Australia. The sorts of areas we expect the projects to focus on are smart infrastructure, so that the old favourites of parking, street lights, as well as better understanding our road and rail transport, of course, smart precincts, smart services and smart planning tools. And already we're seeing a real focus from service providers and local government on the sorts of projects that we think can make a real difference. Now, whilst technology is a primary enabler of smart cities, it's not what defines them, and the days of projects being completely designed and funded by governments, I think, are over. All sectors will be involved in making our cities smart, and the private sector in particular, we believe, has a big role to play, not just as vendors, but as genuine partners in this process. So with that in mind, the guidelines encourage eligible organisations, that's local governments, private companies, research organisations and not-for-profit bodies, to bring forward collaborative smart city programs, projects, and I really encourage those of you who have an interest in this area to get involved. It's a fantastic opportunity and a great chance to really get collaboration moving. Alongside that, we have the Smart Cities and Suburbs program. Alongside that, we have the Future Ready Incubation Package. And this is a recognition that, in fact, a lot of this is about collaboration and capability building, bringing people together for these smart city projects. The package is designed to help local government leaders and their communities prepare for smart city transformation through learning and collaboration. And if you're not quite sure, if your local government area or a service provider, you're not quite sure how you can get involved in this, Future Ready is there to help people into the process. So in conclusion, Western Sydney, I believe, and the government believes, is set to grow and is brimming with opportunity. It demands our very, very best efforts. Working together across the public and private sector, harnessing the latest technology and bringing our biggest and brightest ideas to the table, I think we can make sure this growing region becomes home not just to millions more people, but to great jobs, well-located jobs, good infrastructure and services, and a fantastic way of life. Thank you again for having me here today.